You're here with us on the Singer's Success Path podcast, where we talk about all things building a career with our voices without having to set foot on a stage. I'm Kimara Morell. Jessica Louise joined us today. She is a spiritual vocal coach and artist who, in addition to releasing her own beautiful pop soul music, helps other singers and leaders unleash their fullest self expression. She came on the show and we spoke about launching vocal coaching businesses, landing gigs in foreign countries, and leading a very purpose driven and passion forward life. Here we go. Okay, everyone, let's welcome to the show a woman with an incredible voice and incredible heart, Miss Jessica Louise. Thank you for being here. Do you
Thank you for
do
having
you
me.
remember how we met?
No.
I actually saw one of your ads on Instagram for a vocal workshop you were doing, and I was like, "Ooh, her ad targeted me." Like, so her targeting is on point because it sounds amazing. And I don't know, I just had this feeling that like we were meant to know each other. So I DM'd you. So I slid in the
Oh,
DM and now we're friends.
oh my gosh. You know what? I remember actually seeing you on Sound Better, like, I don't know, a while ago, where I was just like, let me go back on the site and see what the vibe is, what's going on.
You
And
gotta
I was
get in it.
like, dang, this girl is killing it. Who is this chick? And I think that was like maybe before you DM'd me. I don't know. Or I can't remember the timeline of things, but clearly we were
Yeah.
talking to each other before we were friends.
Well, see, like, guys, don't be afraid to reach out and network. Like, it can be that simple. And now you're here on the podcast. We're
Yes.
totally kindred spirits. You
Yeah.
have many, many revenue streams too. And I'd love to ask you about maybe two or three of them in the area of teaching, building community, and you put on these incredible transformative events. So,
Yes.
if you were speaking to other vocal coaches out there who maybe are on a similar path to you, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started vocal coaching and how things have changed for you along the way now that you do some pre-recorded offerings and live events?
Oh my gosh, yes, because this journey has been such a beautiful roller coaster. So I first and foremost am a singer, am an artist, have been putting that out, and early on was like, your girl wants to be wealthy during this. Like, we don't want to be exhausted all the time. I wanted to
Hmm.
be able to fund my own projects. I didn't want to have to sign to a label to get the music that I wanted out there. And
Yeah.
I looked at many other streams of income very similar to you, where I was just like, there's a way to crack this code. I'm gonna find it.
Yes.
And I then was like, okay, well, I think I like to teach. I truly, oh my God, I have no like proper, I didn't go to college for teaching, any of
Mm.
this stuff. I didn't even go to college for singing. I actually like have been self-taught and I've done a lot of additional spiritual practices, Alexander technique. I've learned one-on-one with coaches from Juilliard. And I think that's kind of what gave me the inspiration. I was just like, oh, people don't need to go to this like super expensive music school. They could go to one or two or three select coaches and curate
Yep.
their own experience of learning, just like I did. So then I remember I came back from a residency in the Maldives of all places, and then I was like, wow, I want to explore teaching. And I got a job at MI, actually, Musicians Institute in Hollywood. And I'm still there. I do, a couple of their social media classes. I helped curate the social media curriculum
Oh, yeah.
there, but early on started as a vocal coach there and was just like, oh my gosh, I love this. And I saw the difference that a good vocal coach could make in someone's life, not even just in their singing. And so I was attracting a lot of students who were like, I'm terrified, but I'm ready to do this. Like, I don't know what my next step is. There were many layers to being a vocal coach than just like, let's work on some scales and let's
Yeah,
sing
yeah.
now. So that
Oh,
was like
totally.
early on. And then I, was on the internet a lot and I built a lot of my stuff on Instagram and social media.
Hmm.
And I saw a ton of my friends putting out online courses for playing piano, for playing guitar,
Yeah.
they're on tour and selling. I was like, what is going on here? And this was like 5 years ago. Like, this This was a while back, and I just started teaching at MI, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to create my own school. And just went all in, which was a lot because you go from singer to
Mhm.
business owner.
Oh yeah, surprise.
You know
There's a lot of
this.
stuff to do. But that's what we're here to do. We're gonna take action and make those things, implement those business practices that, we have found out the hard way how to do all this crap.
There's like no other way to find out though. You just got to do it.
You
Like,
just gotta get in
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Totally. I love that you said you knew that you wanted to be wealthy. Like you give yourself permission to be wealthy. I want to hear your thoughts on something because this comes up a lot
mm,
with, and especially with like coaches, like prospective vocal coaches. It's that reciprocity piece. There seems to be this funny fear of money. Like we feel like we are doing a service and we should be doing it for free. We're helping people, but for some reason, yeah, there's just this big thing where people are resistant to charging people for their service.
yeah,
What are your thoughts and like how can you help people switch their mindset and be comfortable accepting payment for their
yeah.
services?
I think this is for just a lot of people in the arts in general. I think we live in this world where it's like you don't we get paid 0.001 cent for a stream. It's ridiculous. And traditionally musicians and singers or whatever, uh there's not a ton of wealth until you make it at the top.
Mhm.
I've always been super rebellious, and I was just like, I've heard the term starving artist. I was like, we don't need to starve. What are you talking about? We get paid to
We be
go to the
eaten.
we be eating. And like, I'm not to say it's not hard. Like this,
It's
it's
hard.
it's it's very challenging because the way that the systems are built are so that we are at the bottom until somebody gives us the opportunity or we get a viral video or something pops off. But
Mhm.
there was a really big mindset shift that I had to go through because I come from a scarcity mindset. My parents are immigrants. So even just to be a
Mhm.
singer was just like, you're gonna sing? Like, what are you
That's
talking about?
not reliable.
No, we're like, we sacrificed, this and that, and like we fought so much. And so I personally had to overcome these thoughts of like, I'm not worthy of charging or I'm not worthy of receiving this abundance until I work this hard or until I have a big song. And that is
You
a
have to
switch.
deserve it or something.
Yes. Like I've like earned this now. And I tell you, that is a fake story. That is a story that I made up that many of us
Hmm.
hold. And I
Hmm.
believed it until I was like, I don't actually, I made this up. I can make up a different one, which is I am worthy of abundance at any point in my life.
Yeah.
And and making those shifts really supported me opening like what it did was it just opened up my vision to see different opportunities and then
Yeah.
take different actions and then establish different habits to then pull in
Yeah.
what
And now that you're like actually making money doing what you do, you're more comfortable, right? And you can serve better. Like fill up
oh
your cup first, you
gosh,
know?
yes. And I because I remember just supporting people from a place of like I don't have enough. It
Mm.
was a different version of myself than the version of Jessica that's like, "Oh my gosh, I've taken care of myself. I'm so happy. I am abundant." That the service I'm able to provide from that space
Mm.
is infinitely better and inspiring for the people that we're serving. And so,
And it's
um,
ironic too because that we have that fear because we want abundance for our students. We want to see them
yeah.
achieve wealth. And yet what holds us back from thinking we deserve that? So I'm I love hearing from people like you who've broken through that fear and you're like, okay, we're over that. We're gonna fill our cup up and we deserve to. And speaking of wealth and the luxury. You mentioned that you were in the Maldives. Oh my God. I actually think this is a pretty cool opportunity to have you on the show because the singer success path, we tend to totally ignore the massive revenue potential of performing live. I don't do it, so I don't really talk about it. I just really love to be like totally in control of my schedule. And so showing up at the venue, infringes upon that for me. But
Yes.
but for a lot of people, that is your happy place. That is like the dream is to be on the stage. So I've actually got two questions for you, two-part question. So first, could you tell me like a little bit about like what's your basic strategy for getting those live gigs, those paid live gigs? I know you were just in Hawaii on a cruise. You were in the Maldives, like you're performing all the time. So what is like some advice you can give people who actually do want to do that?
Yes. I think the first thing is locally finding shows that are available to you to get your chops up and to get the nerves out. Part one is like it was building my own confidence. It was just like,
Mm,
can I do this? Because people can tell when you're not super confident.
mm,
They'll go with someone who's been in it for, a decade versus like, oh,
right.
I don't know. So, performing live as much as you can, and I knew that that was my sweet spot. It's my euphoria. Like everyone has their sweet spots in music, and being a live performer, holding stage presence, feeling the energy of other people, that was always my thing.
Mm,
And so, I got my chops up, and then I honestly started just going to different bars and restaurants in the beginning to just see like, oh, is there live music here? Where is there live music?
mhm. Did your
Which
recon.
yes. Yeah, exactly. So I did some research. I was like, and they were definitely the more like luxury type places. I have the privilege of living in Los Angeles and near Orange County, so I could go to these places. And then I was like, okay, well, these are the people who are willing to pay artists. The bars and restaurants, they really don't pay much. But again, it's good to just put yourself up there, build your reps.
Yeah.
And then I think it was a two thing. I was posting a lot on social media. So I viewed that as a resume. I was just posting
Mm-hmm.
me singing so
Brilliant.
that I could, if someone wanted to book me, they'd be like, "Oh, this girl is here. She's showing up." Like I was like, "Yes, I'm ready." And then I had just a bunch of like friends or, I just expanded my network. So people were traveling and they'd be like, Jessica, there's someone singing here in Tahiti, or there's someone singing here in the Maldives, or oh my gosh, I'm in Europe and this person's singing. So I would just have kind of like I don't know what to call them, like
Your
spies.
ear to the ground.
Yeah, just like who
Your
were,
spies.
yes,
Your
good friends of
international
mine.
spy
Yes,
network.
exactly. They were doing research for me overseas, and I had actually said that I wanted to travel and sing. I wanted to get out of LA for a little bit because I
I
wanted to
want
travel.
to call that out one more time for the people in the back. Just the fact that you can go on your social media and say, "Hey friends, I'm trying to do this." Friends, people love helping each other. So like you never know, like if someone doesn't know that you do that,
Yeah.
they'll they're not going to like bring your name up when they happen to just, they don't have to be in music to know someone who has an opportunity, but they'd love to be the one who say, "Hey, I know a girl who sings and would want to do this." So, put it out there. Say what you want.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so huge. And the
Huge.
thing is, everyone wants to help. Like, I think in the music
Yeah.
industry, there's a lot of like, what are you gonna do? Like weird. But
Mm.
the majority of people in your circle want to support you. And so I just put it out there. And then one of my best friends was on her honeymoon. Shout out Jenny, I love you so much. And she was like, Jessica, the singers here are amazing. And they're from LA. You got to connect with them. Connected with them on Instagram. And sure enough, they were like, hey, we're going back, but only the piano player's going back. So we need a singer. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
yes, I'm in. Yes, thank you. And
Yeah.
then I got an agent for that, and I was working with them for a little bit. But I really only
Okay.
did the Maldives for the 4 months. I came back and then I was like, okay, what's next? Then I started branding myself as a luxury private events acoustic performer.
Yes.
And I really only know like one other person who is like who has branded themselves as that. But I just knew I loved the travel and I loved to perform live. So I was like,
Mm,
let me position myself as that. And then I started, people would then find me on Instagram or find me on these different aggregate sites or find me on my
yeah.
website, and they'd be like, "Hey, we're getting married in Maui. We're getting married here. We'll take care of it." And they take care of everything, It's really amazing. And it was
Yeah.
something I built on my own. And
Wow. So it
yeah.
sounds like primarily most of your gigs came from just you putting out there online and word of mouth that this is something that you do. And it can be that simple. And then there's, I'm sure, like a good handful of that is just magic and attraction,
Yes,
you know?
magnetism. Yes, which can be
Mm,
practiced as well. But it is, I think when you're clear on what you want, and I think this is really tough because as a singer or as an artist, you're just like, oh my God, there's so many different things. I don't know what to do. When you can get clear on a path or something that you really want, it has a much higher chance of manifesting than I just want everything or like,
yeah. Something that's
yeah.
kind of elusive and unclear for sure. I'm
Mhm.
all about that. I'm all about that clear plan. Okay, that's what I want. That's step one, really, is just deciding what you want and then creating the path to get there. All right,
Yes.
part two of this question. What has your experience been with switching it up and diversifying with different revenue streams? Is that something you've always done, or did something happen or a new goal inspire you to add different revenue streams?
Yeah, that's definitely not something that I've always done, but I'm such an artist in the way where I'm just like, okay, let's go to the next thing. Like, let's go to the next
It's a
project.
little shiny new object
Oh
syndrome.
my gosh. Which I actually don't fully recommend because now I'm just like, whoa, I'm like juggling.
Yeah.
But once it gets to like a balance, you're like, okay, this is great. So yes, it's mostly my creative spirit that was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm gonna go sing. I'm gonna go release music. I'm gonna go travel the world and sing. Now I'm gonna go release online courses. Now I'm gonna go." And it totally for me has been because I always just follow my heart, and my
Mm,
heart is very clear. I have a very strong relationship to my heart, my body, my soul. Even if it doesn't make sense, I'm like, I don't
mm,
understand. I just set this up. What? I'm gonna what? And
yeah.
I feel the pull, I go for it. And I think it's kind of what's led me to where I am now. It's definitely
Mm-hmm.
taken more work. So if you're if you're this person, just know it's a lot of work.
How
But
do you manage that? Like, have you burnt out ever and like had to like figure out how to manage all the things?
yes, absolutely. Um, Burnout used to be a good friend of mine when and just like this is kind of a little bit more personal, but I've always been this kind of like workaholic.
Mm,
And something I realized actually this past like year and a half was that I was constantly moving and going and going. And it not because of anything. Yeah, I was constantly going because I think that subconsciously I was trying to like prove something.
mm,
But yes, there was like me, my heart following this, but then I would go so far to the extreme. And I'd be like, dude, why am I doing all of this? And I think for a while in the industry, it was just like, I got to prove myself. And it wasn't until about like a year and a half ago where I was just like, where is this coming from?
yeah.
And it actually, a lot of it came from me as an immigrant or my parents as immigrants, just like, I need to prove to my
Mm,
family that you can be a singer, that this is a viable career. I need to prove to other people that I'm worth being here. Again, going back to like, I'm not worthy stories. Like, so that ran a lot of what I was doing.
mm,
And this past year and a half have gotten way deeper into a spiritual practice of rest, of
Mm,
seasons, of like, I just started going back to nature. I was like, dude, the trees have seasons, yet I am like so hard on myself to constantly be on the go. And
yeah.
this year I literally took like 2 months off. And
Great.
yeah, and
I
was just
love
like,
that.
I'm really tired. I'm gonna chill. And it's in those down seasons that you can really discover what's authentic to you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think, it's probably fair to say we all have the different things that drive us towards our success path. And though a lot of the stuff in the front of our minds is dreams and inspiration and hope and motivation, but there probably are I think all of us probably have some form of an unhealthy driver that we may need to uncover. And for you, it was, proving yourself. I think for me, hearing you speak, I'm like, oh, mine is like fear of surviving. Like I
Mm.
need to make sure, like I need to be the squirrel who gets all my nuts and I'm going to be okay if we hit winter. And so um yeah, same. One day I just was like, okay, hold on. Look around. You're surviving. You're okay. Like you're really okay. You don't need to burn out anymore. Like let's dial it back. And uh, you mentioned also juggling. Like I think I had 23 balls in the air and now I'm only focused on like three of them. So it's
Yeah.
definitely made a massive difference in not even just my happiness, but my success as well. Like those focused paths are now being maximized and instead of just spreading thin. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
really deep stuff. And you seem very purpose driven in all that you do. I can just feel the love you put into all your projects. What would you say your biggest mission and your biggest message is,
Mm.
at least today? I know it
Yeah.
evolves.
It evolves, but it's always kind of been about the same thing, which is to really inspire creative spirits to fully embody their authentic self-expression
Hmm.
and fearlessly share themselves.
Hmm.
It'd be something around that because too many of us hold back. I remember when every step of the way that there was a point where I was like, I can't be a singer. Like, there's nothing in this world that's pulling for me to be a singer right now, or there's nothing in this world that's pulling for me to be a business owner. I don't know anybody who's done this. I don't know anybody who is even wants to do this. And moving through those fears to release the authentic creation of your life is everything. Is the
Hmm.
juice. Is this is just this is it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. And we're talking about my heart. We're talking about some deep stuff and realizing not only that I was creating from a space of feeling like I needed to do it to survive and feed myself. I realized too sometimes that I'm not expressed. I record songs all day, but I'm not expressed. I have to check myself
Mm.
and not just focus on monetizing all the time. I need to make sure that I keep some space in my life for pure expression and just write a song for me. And and so I feel like I need to be at your next workshop 100% because I'm
Yes!
like, okay, I'm like such a, you know, I'm a yo-yoer. Like I'm like, okay, I'm in nature. I'm focused on me. My self-care is up. I'm great. Okay, I can go back to work now. And then I'm like, I'm working so much. What are we doing? I need to go back to the trees.
Yeah.
So I need to like someday get to an equilibrium with all of this. So I just
Yes.
wanted to share that. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Well, I want to chat with you a lot more, but this has just been such a great conversation so far. How can everyone find you if they want to connect with you, if they want to join some of your programs? Where can we find you on the internet?
Yes, you can find me personally at Jessica Louise Music. That's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Jessica Louise. And all of the programs that I have for singing and for independent artists are at the Indie Artist Studio. So www.indieartiststudio.com. And I'm sure
Cool.
we'll put it in all the show notes and stuff, but that's where you,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We love everything you're saying and just so grateful for you to be here. So, love to catch up with you again soon. All right.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Cheers. Hey, thanks again for watching. Real quick, if you could subscribe and like, that would be epic. Again, in the description below are links to some free resources, and I think you'll really like this video next.